Hi, welcome back. This is the fifth in a series of Rhino 8 basics tutorials. What we're going to do here, for want of a better description, it looks a bit like a table, but it's really to try and demonstrate how Rhino can blend curves and it can blend surfaces together with really impressive results. And then later we will kind of create the sides and the top for this table and join everything together to form a closed poly surface, which is something that you could 3D print and take further. So jump into Rhino. So remember, this is Rhino 8 that we're working in, and I've started in the small object millimeters template. So this time we're going to draw some curves in the right hand view initially. So it's all just going to be kind of relative. I'm not using kind of real life sizes here, so we're just kind of fairly small objects, but it looks like a wee table. So using the control point curve, and I'm just going to make the widths of these curves the same. Okay, so we'll do them sort of 60 units across to make a reasonably wide kind of top. So we're just going to make two curves that are quite different to each other. So I have the grid snap on, so I'm just going to take this down, back up, across, and down again, and this is the 6th grid line, and enter. Okay, and then we'll do another curve that's a fair bit different. Okay, so they're both the same width. They don't have to be the same width, but it's just going to look a bit tidier if they are. Okay, we'll stick with this view just now, and what I'm going to do is copy this curve to the side. Okay, it doesn't have to be any particular distance. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it to the side and enter. And what I'm going to do is show you how this curve can be joined to this one. So that one's, not quite difficult to envisage. That just looks like you would kind of like fillet that with an arc. That would work okay. Okay, but from here to here is a different story. It's like, how do you get from one to the other? Obviously there's a straight line, but then if we do a curve coming out here, it's got to somehow curve back into this one. And this is where the software kind of really does start to excel. So we're going to use a command called blend, and blend CRV, blend curve. Okay, so you click the end of one curve, the end of the other curve, and we get this kind of quite magical kind of connection happening. These are different levels of kind of connection. So position is going from straight from one to the other. Tangency is where it's just dealing with the kind of the tangential extension of that, and then tangent on the other one. Okay, these can be mixed up, so you can have position on one, tangent on the next. Okay, then it gets more sophisticated. We're getting into the curvature, so we get a second point that we can edit. So we've got a tangent point here and then the curvature point up here. So these can all be kind of edited. Okay, just escape that for a second. So curvature on both, and then it's adding an extra level each time to the control on those. Okay, but normally kind of it defaults to curvature as the usual kind of level of accuracy. Okay, so really pretty neat, and these happen to be in line with each other, but they don't have to be. So what I mean by that is that if we move this towards us, so let's just go to the 3D view here, and we'll just move this way a bit, or maybe move it backwards so we kind of keep clear of the other objects. So just going to move it on the ground there. I'll hold shift. So in plan now there's distance between them, so the curve has kind of got to travel in 3D space as well to get there. It's not just in that 2D view there. So if we look at this in the 3D view and then do blend blend curve, get it right. So pick the end of this one, the end of this one. Okay, let's just let it go. Okay, and then if we turn that around, you can see that it's running, it's doing a heck of a lot of clever kind of maths in there to get from one curve to the other. Pretty much impossible to draw manually. I would have the fear if I had to try and draw that. Okay, so these can be joined together using the normal kind of join command. And we've got one curve there now. It's amazing, amazing. So I'm just going to undo the join, okay, and get rid of this one, and we'll have a look at surfaces instead. So I'm going to move just one of these to the side. Okay, so I'm just going to click and get one of them and move it, and what I'll do is I'll move it 60 units to the side. So we'll use the grid so that we move it 60 units. So effectively in plan it'll look square because it was 60 wide and now it's 60 to this side as well. Okay, I'll have a look at that in perspective. So we're going to loft between these two to get a surface. So it's loft, pick one, pick two, enter. We'll just go with standard settings, so nothing to change there. And then we're going to copy this surface to the side so that there's a gap of 40 between them. So looking at the top view, let's copy this. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be straight in line. It will manage this if there was a gap, but I just want the end product to be a kind of a rectangle in total. So copy, objects to copy, press enter, base point. So let's use the grid, and I want 40 in between. Enter to stop. Okay, let's have a look at this in 3D now, and you can see that we've got two edges that are quite dissimilar. So we're not lofting between these two because it won't take into account what happens on either of these surfaces. So this is where we use blend SRF, blend surface. Okay, and you pick the edge of one object, the edge of the other. Okay, so the controls look fairly similar, but we've now got sliders on these as well. So let's say we want curvature to be taken into account on both. Okay, and then these either pull or push the points towards the edge that you chose. So you can kind of finesse the connection. So one of them is related to the first pick, the first curve you pick, and the other is the second curve you pick. So you can have it, a bit kind of happening a bit quicker or a bit slower. It's maybe a better way to describe it. It's kind of the speed with which it comes out of each one. Okay, you can add additional shapes if you want to kind of control, if it's not behaving too well, you can add additional shapes. So if I click on here and click on here, you see we're kind of influencing that. Okay, I don't want to do that. I want to keep it just nice and clean and simple. Okay, let's let that go. Okay, and ultimately we want to kind of puncture through these. So I just want to show you a kind of a problem that we have. So I'm going to join these together, join these surfaces, and generally it behaves as one surface now. Okay, unless we try to blend over the join of these, so either here or here. If we try to do another blend, we get problems. So I'm going to go back to the top view and draw a circle underneath the junction between the two surfaces. So just random position. Okay, a circle. I'm going to offset that. And I'm just going to pick the distance from the screen. So let's say there. Okay. So the inner circle is going to become like a chimney, and the outer circle is going to slice and split the surface. So to get that circle onto the surface, we use the project command. So let's look at it in this view. Okay, project. The curve to project is this one. Enter onto this surface. Enter. Okay, that works fine. And then if we split the surface, so the object to split is the surface, enter. Using this, enter. Okay, we've got kind of a patch here that we can get rid of. All looks good. Okay, let's now push this upwards. So we're going to move it up till it's higher, just slightly higher than the hole. Okay, keep ortho on so it keeps in line, so we're just above the hole. Okay, and then we'll extrude that. Extrude curve. Enter. I don't want it to be solid at this point because I want to blend one surface into the other, so let's just give it a little bit of height, and then let's check what's going on here. Okay, so how do you get from this edge to this edge? Okay, now this is where the problem with blend surf comes in, that we've got this multiple kind of surface connected. Okay, so blend SRF, you pick the edge of this object, and rats. Okay, so it's like we're kind of stuck. It's not going to work here. So it's saying blending between an open and a closed edge. It's like, okay, let's see what happens. Now we're limited to what's happening on one side. It's not doing the full object. So you kind of get the idea of what it's trying to do, but it's kind of struggling to do it as one go, in one go. Okay, let's give it another go. See what happens if we try and do this a bit more accurate. If we put quad on, put the O snaps on and put quadrant on, we'll be able to kind of hopefully pick a quadrant point, so we're kind of getting two sides. And we just want to see what this looks like. So first edge, second edge. Okay, we've got a quad point there, and we've got a quad point here. Okay, so that looks quite good. Okay, now what if we try and do the other side? I've got a feeling we're going to end up with a gap. So select first edge, select second edge, enter. Okay, select control point. Oh, it's kind of failing already. It's saying it's already been done. So it's not happy. It's not happy at all. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'll show you what happens if we kind of contour this shape. If we kind of make this shape more, kind of rebuilding the shape really. Okay, so I'm just going to go to a different layer so we can see these contour lines when we create them. So let's go green. Okay, and we're basically going to create a network surface. So we're kind of recreating this surface, because rebuilding doesn't work. There's the rebuild command. If I try and pick a surface, it only does one of them. It's okay, we'll take all three, but if we go enter, okay, we've got different UVs on the middle portion. We could tidy that up, but basically it just messes up. It doesn't like it. Okay, so let's see if we can recreate this with contours, and we'll put contour every 10 millimeters and see how we get on with that. Okay, so because we've drawn this kind of fairly accurately, so contouring should work okay. So the command is contour. Select the objects for contours. Is our single surface. Enter. Base point. Let's use the end of this. Okay, and then it's saying which way do you want your contours generated. Okay, so let's say we'll do these ones first. So if we hold shift, okay, and click, then it'll say distance between the contours, let's say 10 units. So we're going to get quite a few contours, but it's not unrealistic. So we should have one at the front as well and one at the back here. Okay, so it's a bit like rebuilding, but kind of a long way round. Okay, so we'll contour it in the other direction now. So object contour, it's poly surface, enter. Start point, I'm going to go for this corner instead. Okay, and then the direction for the contours will go to along to the right. Distance of 10 again, and enter to stop. Okay, have a look at this. We've got, if we switch off the black layer now, don't do that, switch off the black layer, we've got the shape contoured instead. Okay, so now we can actually create what's called a network surface. Network SRF. We'll select all the curves in the network, that's all of these, enter, and we've got a surface. Okay, I think we can't really tweak that, so I think we're just going to go OK with that. So in there are our contours as well. So let's see if we can extract those with a command called cell CRV. Okay, we don't really need the contours now. Let's lose those. Okay, so we've recreated the surface. It's one object now. We can now rebuild that, so we can simplify it. Okay, and point count 10 by 10 should be okay. Okay, so we're kind of a bit of a long way round, but we've got back to a surface that we can now work with and do the splitting and the blend surfacing. So let's try it on this new surface and see how we get on. Okay, so we want to project. Let's go back to the black layer. Okay, project this circle, enter onto this surface. Okay, then split. The object to split is the green surface. Enter using this. Enter. The holes in the right place. Okay, we'll now move the inner circle upwards. Okay, and we want to pick circle, get move. Okay, I need to look at the side view just so I get the height reasonably accurate. So pick a base point anywhere, ortho 1, holding shift. Okay, extrude this now, extrude curve. Okay, so there's our kind of chimney. Let's make green the current layer and put this onto the green layer. Okay, and I think I'll turn off the black layer now. So we've just got the two surfaces. Okay, fingers crossed, blend surface now. 1, 2, it's going to be happy now. So here we can see these, the seams. So these generally have to be fairly close to each other and you'll get a tidy result. If they're kind of split like this and facing the wrong way, this arrow can be flipped to the other way. So if it will actually flip, it doesn't seem to want to. That's better, flip. Okay, that will cause a complete mess. So let's just see what it looks like if we do that. It's like, whoa, it wraps up on itself. Looks awful. Let's shade that. Ugh. Ooh, yuck. Okay, it's all to do with those seams. So blend SRF, pick, pick. The seams are in good position, so press enter. Okay, and this is where we can adjust the tension again. So it's the kind of the speed at which it comes out of each one. So yeah, really clever control on these. And again, you can add shapes to improve things if you need to. Take that away. Okay, and that is kind of manufacturable, and that can be joined in that kind of affair. So we've got one object which will also offset. So if we want to give this thickness, so it's offset SRF. So let's pick the surface, enter. Okay. It's all, at the moment it thinks the normal is downwards and inwards for there. We could flip that so they're all coming outwards. And we've got to watch out that we don't offset too much, because you can see here it's already looking like it could collapse on itself. So a fairly small offset. Let's just try, say, 2 millimeters. Okay, corners, let's change those. Oh, I've got to press enter first. Corners, we want sharp. Solid, yes, so we get sides on it. Let's see how it comes out. Looks pretty good. So you can see there's a fair bit of rebuilding goes on for it to be able to do that, but pretty crazy. Okay, I'm going to backtrack a wee bit and pause the video here and come back with 2 of these instead of just the one. So we don't need to watch it all happen again. So when the video restarts, there'll be 2 of these kind of chimneys on the model. Okay, we're restarted the video now, and we've got 2 chimneys which are basically going to be the legs of our object. So we're not wanting to solidify this yet. What we're going to try and get is some sides onto this, so we get a thickness to it. So I'm just going to go back to 2D wireframe. Okay, and we need the edges of this object. So what I'm going to do is a command called duplicate border, dup border. There we go, dup border. Okay, click the object, enter. Okay, so you can see we've got a circle at the top, which we don't need. Okay, but it still counts as the border of the object, but we do have the curve here. Okay, and so that's going to help us with the loft. We're going to loft from this object to the shape of the table, or the shape of the object on the ground. And this is where if we use the endpoint object snap, but also project, okay, and draw a rectangle, and watch what happens. You see it's going to draw the square, it's going to draw the rectangle on the ground, even though we're picking points in the air. So we'll go from endpoint here to endpoint there. That's quite handy. It's not something you use very often, but when you do need it, it's pretty useful. Okay, so we've now got an object that we can loft from and to. So we'll type in loft, easier to find. We're going to go from this object, this curve, to the curve on the edge, and enter. The seams are above each other and both facing the right direction, so it should look okay. Okay, and we want to definitely want straight sections on this, no bends please, and okay. So we've now got the sides, and lastly we need a top, and we need tops on these. So we could use cap for these. Okay, but that will also because it's not a closed shape yet. We can't use cap just yet. Sorry. Okay, so let's use a surface from planar curves. Surface from planar curves for the top. We've got the curve. Press enter. Okay, so that's given us a surface there. And now we need to join those together. So we've got the main object here, the sides, and the what is going to become the top. Okay, so that's joined. We'll enter now, and this is when we can use cap. So if we shade that, okay, so we're all joined together, but we still have two holes here. So if you use the cap command again, pick this, enter, it's sealed. So I'm just going to click on that and check the properties. We've got a closed poly surface. It's pretty clever. You can kind of create the solids from parts. That's quite ingenious. Okay, so that's the table kind of upside down. If we make a copy of that and then rotate it, so copy, not got copy there, back to standard, copy. Okay, let's just use the grid. May as well. Okay, and we'll put it over to here. Okay, and we'll rotate the back one. So rotate, pick a point. Yeah, we'll just pick a point anywhere, to be honest. Oh, if we pick a point on the grid, at least it'll be looking okay. And we want a 180 rotation. I'm just going to type it in. Okay, and then if we move this, okay, you can see we're on a grid line already. So let's go from grid to grid. So they're both at the same height. Okay, if we put this one onto a different layer, let's say layer number 3, and then we can think about some materials on those. So go to the layers. Let's say for layer number 3, let's put this to wood. So I'm going to import a material. Okay, we've got woods. It's an alphabet, Richard. Okay, and red elm polished. Let's go for that. Wait for the material to appear. That looks nice and wood-like, and it's got quite a bit of pattern on it as well. So okay that. Okay, let's see this in the fully rendered view. So that looks quite nice. The grain. We're seeing a bit of the problems there with the mapping, but we're not here for that one just now. And then let's put something shiny on the green. Well, I think what we'll do is put this onto a layer we haven't used yet. So let's say go to red, okay, so that we can switch off the green layer as well. So let's make the red one current and switch off green, just so we've not got any curves showing. Okay, and just something shiny on this. Okay, let's create a new material. Let's say plastic. Let's go kind of reddish, not too bright. Let's go that. Okay, clarity's down a bit. Let's whack that up. Okay. Okay. Oh, I've put that on the wrong layer, haven't I? It was has to be on this one. So choose the plastic there. That's like it. Okay, and remember, if you want to see reflections, which we may do here, if we render this instead, let's just see what it looks like. I'm not seeing much in the way of reflections of the brown one. It's just the way the angle is. This is looking just as good. Okay, so a bit tricky, blend surface, especially if it's, you know, having to remake that surface was quite a chore. But you know, if you're needing to do that, then it's maybe a way of doing it. I haven't been able to find a command that lets you just get that surface to behave as one if it's been joined together like that. So if anybody does, put it in the comments, and I'd love to know how to do it. Cheers.